stand for short prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we again reach out to you for help. Grant us the strength, faith, and the willingness to always make the proper, correct decisions to benefit all our village residents. Also, in view of the current coronavirus pandemic, we are asking your help and blessing in protecting West Virginia residents, but are concerned especially for all our Bethlehem families. Thanks be to God for all you do for us. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. This is the beginning of our second regular monthly council meeting, September 20, 2020. Next, we'll turn the program over to our recorder, Matt Sassine, to call roll.
Councilman Otten.
There.
Councilman Bishop.
Here.
Councilman Hersha.
Here.
Councilman Henry.
Here.
Mayor Junkins.
Here.
Councilman Sassine.
Here.
Recorder Sassine. Here. Councilman Snyder.
Here.
Councilman Wojcik.
Here.
Okay, next we have the review of our September 8, 2020 council minutes. Matt?
Yes, there are some punctuation that does need corrected within the minutes. There is no actual material that does need changed, but we would like to approve the minutes as they are presented with the similar content, but making the punctuation changes.
Okay, in view of this, what he's saying is that there are some cosmetic corrections that he wants to make, and these do not affect the content of the minutes. So I would ask that we approve the minutes as presented with the stipulation that he will be making some cosmetic corrections.
Can we amend the motion to show us the revised at the next meeting?
You can, we'll give you a copy if you want. They're, like I say, they're cosmetic,
Sure,
and they
sure,
don't
yeah.
change anything as far as the content, direction, or anything, way, shape, or form. Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented based on the cosmetic corrections?
I'll make that motion.
Tommy, second?
Second.
Okay. Any question on the motion? If there be no question on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Matt, just make a note that the Councilman Bishop would like to have a copy of that. If the rest of them, we'll share that with you too. There's no problem. There's nothing to hide. Okay, Matt, back to you, your report.
The next council meeting will be held Monday, October 5th, 2020 at 8 p.m. here at the village office. Just a reminder, if you have not yet handed in the Q3 2020 campaign financial statement, please have it filled out and returned to me by no later than October 7th. Thank you. That's everything I have, Mayor.
Okay. Next is the accountant's report. Jamie, do you have anything you want to report?
I have the financial statements for your approval. I am finishing up year-end work for June 30th for audit, so I'm gonna have the PSC reports and the comprehensive statements. And soon we will need to get an audit committee together of 2 or 3 people to approve the company that we would want after all the bids are in.
So in other words, you're inquiring for the audit, next audit?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. We can do that. Okay, and then Under new business, then we'll present the list of bills and the financial statement of August the 31st that Jamie prepares. Okay, next, I want to get into the mayor's report. LaRoche Tree Service removed the tree at Bay Tree Playground on Monday, September 14, and then they came back on Wednesday, September 16, to remove the tree stump. I was told by one of the senior workers there that this tree was not in real immediate danger because it was an elm tree. However, it's gone and the area looks much better. This man I talked to, he looked like a lumberjack, and he knew what he was talking about, and I had talked to him for a while. In fact, unfortunately, I didn't get his name, but I had a nice conversation with him, and they were in the process of cutting the tree down and remove it, and he pointed to some of their equipment they had. They just purchased a new trailer. The trailer was 92 feet long, and it had a tractor that drew it, moved it, motivated it, and then on top of that there was a crane that circulated around, and on the end of that crane they had a big grab. So what they would do is pile up the debris, come down with a grab, swing it around and put it in their trailer. I haven't seen the trailer. He said that's the second one. I think they have another one that they're in the process of refurnishing, but I'll tell you, it really makes their job a lot easier to have the proper equipment. I had the alleged speeding checked on monitor on Briarwood Drive on Wednesday, September 9 in the morning, and Thursday, September 10 in the afternoon, and got negative results. Also, our police officers talked with some of the various truckers and workers, stating we had received some complaints regarding speeding. Also, I have received some concerns from Briarwood residents regarding speeding of Briarwood residents. Now, just to look at the report, the police report, the one in the morning, let's see, yeah, the one in the morning, we'll do that one first. Just going down, there was a white truck pulling a trailer, 20 mile an hour, a gray Ford, 17 mile an hour, UPS truck, 15 mile an hour, white vehicle, 16 mile an hour, FedEx truck, 17 mile an hour, Mercury, 19 mile an hour, Lincoln 16, Ford truck 16, Cadillac 18, Honda 16, Nissan 16. Now, the afternoon report the next day was very similar, although the speeds were a little higher. Cement truck 11 miles per hour, blue Ford 21, white Honda 17, box truck 17, Chrysler landscaping truck 18, red Ford 18, white Honda 20, silver Toyota 20, cement truck 20, blue Nissan 17, red precision truck 20, silver car 19, silver Buick 13. Now, one of the downsides, we're over there with a cruiser, and the cruiser's marked and highly visible. What we should take is our plain silver wrapper over there, and maybe get maybe a better reading, or if there's people speeding. But our police did talk to a lot of the workers over there are working on Daisy Fields on that house up there just south of or below Briarwood Drive. So it's something that they are aware of, and I've received some information from residents over there. It seems like down at the end of Briarwood, where you go into Winterfoot Knoll, and when I was down there one day, during the day, there was a woman sitting on the edge of the road, and she was in a lunch there, and there were 3 kids, and they were all playing out in the cul-de-sac. And I don't know, this personally, I don't think the kids ought to be playing out in the road, but I guess that's where they play. But she had a big sign out too, children at play, while she was there. So, and I think they're relatively new residents there, and some of the residents have suggested we put some more signs up. Well, I'm not a real sign people. When you want to put signs in your neighborhood, it's like junking things up, and that's the way reason I don't like signs that are commercial value or commercial advertisements around the village. Or in fact, I usually have our street crew remove those things. Anyway, so there's things over there that hasn't gone unnoticed. The water line replacement project on Poplar Lane is now complete. Next, addressing the storm sewer catch basins and the ditching project on Poplar. This project has been on our drawing board and will commence shortly. Our street crew has numerous similar projects, and we are wanting to get as many completed before winter. Our street crew has been working on Evergreen Lane catch basins and the alley that is between Hickory and Evergreen Lanes. These corrections have improved the stormwater flow there. We also received a nice letter of thank you from Janet Kroom, who lives over there on Evergreen Lane, a resident there, thanking the crew for helping stormwater control there. On September 11, 2020, I sent a letter to all 3 county commissioners and the High County Administrator, and by name, you've got Don A. Nickerson, Timothy P. McCormick, and Peter R. Wharton. And those are the commissioners, and the administrators, Gregory L. Stewart. The letter I sent was a cover letter addressing the village's proposed Beacon AMA mobile metering system project, requesting any help that they could render on the village's project. In the meantime, Councilman Wojcik and Solicitor T.C. McCarthy have had conversations with Commissioner Tim McCormick. Later in tonight's meeting, T.C. will update us on input on his conversations basically with the commissioners. Also, in that vein, I saw Stacky here during the week for another matter, and thanked him for going down there. And I don't want anybody else to feel like they're let out, so if you'd want to contact any one of the commissioners and tell them what our benefits are. In fact, I'll just read my cover letter. Along with the cover letter was a file that Ben had prepared for us, and it was a quotation from National Road Utility, and Ben has some other things to tell us later in the meeting. Plus Ben's letter that he wrote for the commissioners. You all signed the form that we had to go with this, which I included it, and the letter goes to the 4 individuals, proposed Beacon AMA mobile metering system. Dear gentlemen, for some time now, our village council has had discussions with Ben Gilbert, chief water operator and head of village maintenance, regarding an upgrade to our water meter billing system. Ben has done extensive homework on other municipal systems and the need to streamline ours. Enclosed is a memo that Ben wrote that states our position on this matter. We definitely would appreciate any help that the Ohio County Commission could render. Our village council unanimously endorsed this project. So Ben's going to have some input later on. I don't want to steal his thunder. He's the author. Wilson Blacktop Corporation commenced work on the village's 2020 paving project Monday, September 14th, as scheduled. On Monday, as projected, they started rotomilling the community park playground parking lot, and they met with some soft spots which had to be addressed. When I say soft spots, going in the park off of Community Road there, right there on the left, there was actually some soft spots, and they built it up a little bit, and that night they parked their heavy equipment on it to kind of hold it down, and hopefully it mashed it down a little bit to prevent any future problems there. Also, they got started on Shortwood Circle, and they also had some corrections to make over there, same thing. Which our engineer, Jack Tush, he's been up here every day and overseeing the project, because sometimes things come up, and if he's here, he can tell them what needs to be corrected. On Tuesday, September 15, Wilson rotomilled Cherry Lane and Northcrest Court with some corrections at Northcrest. Ran into concerns up there. Might as well get these corrections done now and not later while we're taking and making an investment in the blacktop, so that we don't have to go back and redo our homework. On Wednesday, the 16th, base coats were started on Community Park roadway, Shortwood Circle, Cherry Lane, and Northcrest Court, which continue through the week. Weather has been in our favor, that is warm days and cool nights. As mentioned under the Treasurer's report, which I didn't mention, which I'll mention now, Jamie prepared a treasurer's report which reflected the Village of Bethlehem's financial report for the fiscal year July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2020. And I got the signatures on that. I had to get a couple of councilman signatures, the recorders and mine, and I got back down to Jamie, and she takes and emails that down to the newspaper. And one of the advantages is if our report is incorrect, it's emailed, so shame on us, but that doesn't happen. And what's happened before over the years, I know I used to hand carry those things down there, and they'd have to retype them down there. And there's an avenue that we could have incorrect information, and I like the new system. Cosine Construction is still working on both Chapel Road as well as Spruce Street Bridge. The last report by the state is now completion is scheduled for sometime in October, and I'm holding my breath. I don't know. Also, Edgeco Incorporated has started the demolition of the former Hemming property at 27 Chapel Road. This past Friday, they did some work in a short time. I don't know how many days they project it's going to take them to complete that project, but it'll be cleared. Okay, that's basically all I have on the mayor's report. Other officers' report, TC.
We will have tonight for second reading and adoption, the ordinance dealing with the load limits. Each of you should have received a copy of that to review before the meeting, and I'll address the specific changes when we have a second reading under new business. As the mayor mentioned, Councilman Wojak did take time to meet with county commissioners, and I've also talked with them, and this matter will be considered by them either tomorrow at their meeting or 2 weeks from now. And I'll report back to you at that point in time as to where we are. They're fully aware of the entire scope of the project because of the Public Service District has done a similar project. And I referred to the mayor to give to Ben the number for the Public Service District to contact them, and I think he's already done that.
Yep, I talked to him today.
Yeah, so that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. There's nothing under the police chief's report because this report was last meeting. Committee reports. Let's start with the Parks and Recreation. Do you have anything tonight?
Yeah, I do. I stopped to talk to Aaron.
Hey, wait a minute. This report, how about saving this for under new businesses? Because we had this on the table when we basically forloaded. So let's save this for old business, and you can take off what you want to tell us, okay? Okay, I didn't know if you had anything else other than that. I know you have a project to run by us there, so.
No, she just wanted to present
Yeah,
this today. I just
okay.
want to do it under,
Just-
want to do it under old business?
Yeah, under no old business, yeah.
That's fine.
Thanks, Stacky. Okay, Bobby, anything out of the police report?
I have
Okay.
nothing.
Roads and streets.
We're just thankful for the good weather and how everything's working out on our projects for the village. We're good.
Anything, Tommy? Okay.
No, you kind of touched base on all the roads.
Water and sewer, is there anything on
Nothing
your
this
table,
evening, sir.
Timmy?
Nothing this evening, sir.
Okay. Zoning, Mark?
Nothing this evening.
Okay. Okay, next is maintenance. Big Ben. You want to report on your findings and stuff with regarding the meter reading project at this time?
I basically came this evening to answer a couple of questions that I heard in the last meeting when I was on vacation. I took time to watch the council meeting. First, I wanted to address the fact that about local companies for meters. There is no other local company for meters for us but National Road. That's it. It's because we've made the choice years ago to only exclusively go with Badger meters, and they're the only distributor of that product. So we have a very limited amount of options when it comes to radio reads as to who can retrofit into existing hardware that we have. And that is Badger, that's Metron, and as far as I can tell, nobody else that's servicing this area. So most of these municipalities in the area have been going with Badger. I just spoke with Ohio County PSD today, and they've had their in place for, they say, a total of 3 years. It's been an ongoing project of installations, much like Wheeling's doing. And they would say, they told me that if you had asked them in the first 6 months if they endorsed this product, Badger is who they've gone with National Road, they would have probably laughed at you, because there is a substantial learning curve to this technology that most of these municipalities, including probably ours, are just not really ready for. It's kind of a whole different setup. You know, you have a lot of learning involved. And so, but now that they've had it and been running it successfully for some time, they would endorse it wholeheartedly. They think the National Roads involvement every time they had a problem was not only beneficial, but it was instantaneous. So now I can't speak much on Metron, but the fact that I've spoken with Tim, and he has told me that they've replaced several pieces of hardware, even new installations that they've done on not all the time, but probably on a more turnaround than Ohio County has. Ohio County has 5,000 meters in their jurisdiction, and they've replaced 25 pieces of hardware, which I'd say is pretty good numbers. Anything else anybody wants to know, needs to know? They said that they would work directly with us, Ohio County PSD, to help us make our transition should we choose to go with Badger. Since they've hit a lot of these hurdles on their own, they can help us better overcome any obstacles that might be in our way. Because they've already worked with Beacon, they've worked with Badger and National Road to iron out some of the issues that they've had transitioning over.
Ben, is there a backup if something goes wrong and you have to go back and do reads the old way? Are you still able to do that?
Oh yeah, their face is almost identical. You could just read it normally.
Ben, you want to also mention that you're lined up to go to another entity that has Badger meters and
Oh yeah. PSD2, they run Washington Lands in Marshall County. They are in the process of acquiring this beacon system as well. She's going to have the training down there for learning this, set up this program, the installation, the running of the software, and invited me to come sit in on that. Now I can't say that that's going to save us our own training costs. I won't speculate that, but I can say that, you know, a little extra information never hurt anybody. So I would the only other thing I would say is if the commission was in favor of helping us out financially, I would hopefully like to maybe move on getting an allotment of these meters, since both of these companies are willing to work with us on a quarterly basis. And if you're already getting money from the commission, then you're not really out anything here.
Yeah,
And we can get some meters in the ground before the weather turns south.
That's why I'd encourage maybe some other members of council to get a hold of the commissioners and, you know, I know the guys must know them. So it would help. I mean, it just gives us a little more support. I mean, we have some good players in place right now, but it doesn't hurt to have another one or two, so.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't know any of these people, but.
Well, no, I don't expect you to.
With anybody.
You're doing the homework out in the field.
I got just one thing to add to that, Don.
What's that?
I think they're gonna make their mind up in the near future, if not this week sometime. That's all I can say.
Yeah, well-
I couldn't be positive, but you know, all the signs seem like it's gonna happen soon.
I think you're like soupy salesman. You gave him a good pitch.
Well, I did.
But I appreciate that. So I'd like some of the others maybe. Bobby, you know some of them down here. So, Tim, you should know something. Aaron, you can get your feet wet. You're not afraid to speak up.
But does anybody have any other questions or
Yeah.
concerns? I kind of glossed over, it seemed to be a lot of questions thrown out at the last meeting. And I want to make sure that whatever issues or questions or concerns that you might have, that, like, I have been meticulously researching all of this stuff. So if you have information, if I don't have it tonight, I can have it for you tomorrow. So if you got
Any
questions, let me know.
Any questions for Brad? He's gonna feel not wanted because you didn't ask him questions.
That's all right.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay. Okay, let's move into old business, and I think the first thing I have on the agenda for old business is what Stocky wants to tell us about Halloween.
Well, I just stopped at Erin's house. You guys can pass this one around. She made 4 copies. You guys can check this out. I'm gonna read this real quick. Here's what she's got planned. You got a copy, right, Steve? Yeah. Very good. All right, I'm just gonna read that. She's got it. After much discussion and contacting various parties, we have come up with a new Halloween plan. All communities we contact have no clue what they will do at this time, including the city of Wheeling. Okay, October 31st, from 2 p.m. to approximately 5 p.m., we are going to have a drive-through to check the time frame tomorrow.
Say that again, to check what?
She said that we are going to do a drive-through to check the time frame tomorrow.
Oh, to see how long it'll take to.
Yeah,
to-
okay, that's
I
what
see,
she
I'm
said
sorry.
about too.
Yeah.
I didn't read it all the way. Okay, volunteers will bag the treats. We have already ordered drawstring plastic treat bags, 572 of them from Oriental Trader at our office prior to the event. Okay, the village police, Bethlehem Village Department, village representatives and volunteers will parade through Bethlehem, making designated stops like a school bus to distribute candy, but if we do pass your house, we can hand out on the way. Walking volunteers behind can do this. Okay, Jacob Howard laid out the tentative route with the stops. Okay, we're gonna divide into 2 parades. That's what you guys are looking at now probably. Go separate directions to cover the area in a timely manner. Erin says she's going to do a mailing, if this is okayed, to all the residents with a plan and map suggesting to walk to designated points if we don't pass your house. Reiterating that if we pass your house, we will hand the candy out on the way by. Again, the volunteers can walk behind to do this. Okay, there's one more paragraph. We will also include a request for donations for candy for our parade and state this is not replacing. Again, I want to emphasize that this is not replacing trick or treat door to door. That's another issue that we're going to be talking about. But it is another option. If you do not want to participate door to door, leave your lights out. Also warn of the COVID of door to door. Please state what you need is to say if it is a proclamation or policy to be included with the letter. Okay, what she wants us to do, so we can get on this, please discuss and make a motion to proceed so we continue with plans. And all I can say is Erin's been working her butt off with this thing. I mean, if you guys want to help, we'll get enough volunteers. I mean, if you're not interested in helping, I mean, it would be nice if you could donate. You ever seen the big bags of candy they
What's
got?
the time on that?
The time, 2 to 5.
Date,
What's that?
the date?
Halloween, October 31st. This way, it will not interfere if we want to go with the evening door to door. You know, we don't want to get people PO'd about that. But I think this is good. Oh, and I talked to Tony Warner. I just got off the phone with Tony. He's the head of activities over at Presbyterian. And he said, absolutely. We can use the church and start everything right there. And we're going to go, do you see the map, Eddie? Did you look at it? 2 different groups. So I think Erin's been doing a real good job on this. I think we should follow through on it. Like I said, if council wants to help, fine. If not, we'll get some volunteers.
Okay, what's council say about the idea that Stacky's presented to us? What's your input on it? Any
I think
comments?
it's a good idea. This way, only the village residents are gonna participate. If you'd have it down here at the park and you advertise it, everybody would show up. You don't know how many people you'd have. And I think it's a good plan.
He emphasized, Steve, that she is going to send letters out.
Yeah, to the residents. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I'm with Steve. I think it's a great idea.
Pardon me?
the normal or traditional trick and treat, so that if people wanna, people up here in the past, we've usually had the hours like 6:30, 7:30, and I think it's getting darker sooner for some reason here recently. But establish hours, maybe like from 6:30, 7:30 for the tradition, the people that wanna participate. You mentioned earlier, put your porch light on. And it used to be that there'd be a lot of grandparents up here, and they would bring their kids and the grandkids up here, to have trick or treat.
Well, if we go 2 to 5 here, if you make.
Yeah, and 2 to 5
What was
here.
our usual hours, 6 to 7?
Yeah, so the CDC actually came out with some regulations, just the other day on trick or treat. And they split the country up into 3 different zones. And this is different than what the state presented with their color code system. But the CDC says in a green zone, trick or treat can proceed normally as long as social distancing guidelines are in place. Small parties are okay. Then they have the yellow zone, and again, this is different than what the governor put forth for West Virginia. In the yellow zone, trick or treating is still possible, but they say to make sure places you are visiting follow safety protocols, with those handing out candy, wearing masks when young kids answer the door, and other such precautions. In the orange zone, the CDC recommends trick or treat in reverse, which is essentially what Aaron's plan is. So we go to the kids. Right now, the majority of West Virginia would be in the CDC's yellow zone. So I think trick or treat is a great idea. We should definitely do it. But we might want to give residents some guidelines. Hey, put a mask on when you answer the door.
Yeah.
If you're sick, turn your light out. Please do not hand out candy if you're not well.
Right.
If you're worried that you're going to get it from one of the kids, you can put a table with a bowl of candy outside, or just turn your light out. I think a yes or no, let's have it, let's not have it, is too simple. I think we need to issue some guidelines for the residents on how to do it safely.
Right, that would be good, because that way they know how we feel about it, based on, the
What's going to keep them safe?
CDC's
Yeah.
the guidelines and everything. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't like their guidelines, but hey, they have guidelines for a reason, and I think we ought to follow them. That's just my personal opinion.
And I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So is that something we can just put in Stacky's or Aaron's letter
That's
too?
exactly what I was gonna say.
Put
You read my
like-
mind, Darla.
Hey,
You did, you read my
hey,
mind.
we're getting close. I know.
Instead of sending out a separate letter like Tim said,
Right.
maybe we get Aaron just to add that, say, hey, we're gonna have regular
Right.
trick and treat, we'll set the hours, but this is the guidelines you have to follow.
And include what the CDC says, so it's not just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
like include
Well,
what
make
they're saying. Say,
make reference to that.
Right.
This
gives-
way it's save you from a separate mailing too,
Yes,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
we can do it all in one letter, but be very specific on the
Mhm.
details. Okay, well, let's make a motion that we adopt the Aaron Stacky plan.
So moved.
That's Aaron's plan. So moved.
Okay,
I second that one.
okay. As he presented it here to us. Any question on that motion? If there be no question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you. And at the same vein, I would like a motion to have the traditional Halloween for the residents that want to participate, and establish the hours. You said like 6 to 7, or 6:30, 7:30, whatever time, but at least give them a time frame. And if they want to, and with this letter, we want to send out and tell them what we're doing on Plan 1, Plan 2, just tell them what guidelines that we'd like them to institute.
Last year you did 6 to 7:30, I think. I think it was 6 to 7:30 is what you did last year. I
Okay,
think.
that was like an hour and a half
Yeah,
instead
it was
of
like
an
an hour
hour.
and a half, I thought.
Oh, do you want to change
Was
the
it an
hour?
hour? Okay.
We
Whatever it was last,
parallel wheeling for.
yeah, I say we do whatever it was last year, whatever time it was last year.
Well, if they're done at 5 with ours, I think since they're already dressed and things like that, don't you think an hour would be good to give them the, go
They're already
home
out.
and do what they gotta
Yeah.
do? In other words, I'm suggesting 6 to 7.
Okay, I'd have to look it up, if you just want to make it 6 to
Unless you
7,
wanna
go
make
ahead.
it what you
6 to
did
7
last
is good.
time, I don't care.
Because it
6 to
starts to
7 is
get
good.
dark at 7 o'clock, so from a safety standpoint.
If you just wanna get last year's time,
Yeah.
these guys too, I don't know.
I was
Well-
literally, you might have been too, out walking kids last year. I don't know if you take your kids trick or
It
treating.
rained like a beast last year.
Yeah, last year's weather sucked
Yeah.
horribly. But there also was just like, everything felt like very rushed because everybody condensed their hours because they were trying to squeeze it in when it wasn't raining or being crappy weather. So as a parent walking my kids around, like, they, like, the point of that is they're out for a little while, but it just kind of felt like they were only out for just a little bit, and then back at the house. So, if I had to put in 2 cents, not that I have a say in this, but I would say 7:30 seemed a lot more reasonable, just because it gave kids a little. You don't have to stay out that long, but if you wanted to, it gives you the option of maybe not just hitting one street. Because I bring my kids up to Bethlehem, because I live out on 86. I don't have any other option.
I don't have any problem with an hour and a half. I mean,
I don't think. I think a lot of people turn, they say whatever hour they conclude, 7 or 7:30, then they turn their lights out. Then you don't see that many kids out after that, too.
I don't
So-
think
Hour and a
that's
half's
a big deal.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we want to establish on the hours now?
6 to 7:30.
6 to 7:30. Is that favorable?
What if Wheeling doesn't have it?
I don't know what they're. I didn't check to see what they're doing.
What
Buy an
if
extra bag.
What if they don't?
Well, it's only gonna be advertised to the village residents in that letter.
No, the trick or treat will be advertised everywhere. Regular trick or treat will be on the news, it'll be
Yeah.
on the community calendar for the Channel 7, that's always that way. Like fireworks. It's just
I'll
like
call, I'll
fireworks.
call tomorrow and find out what their hours are.
Well, Wheeling don't, we'll have a lot of kids.
That's what I'm getting at.
That's true.
I don't know, I think we just should establish our own hours,
Well, yeah, it was 6 to 7:30, we were saying, right? Okay. Okay, I'd entertain a motion then to have the traditional Halloween, up here on Saturday, October 31, with the hours being from 6 to 7:30.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Bobby second.
Oh, Bobby second. You got that, Matt?
Yes, I do, man.
Okay. Okay, any question on the motion? Be no question on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you. Okay, is there any other old business at this point? I don't know if that's the only one I had there. Okay, let's shift over to new business, and the first thing I have is the September 2020 list of bills. And I think you've all had a chance to renew that. That's passed around in your council pack. I would entertain a motion that we pay the September 2020 list of bills. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, any question on the motion? If be no question on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you. Next, we have Jamie's financial statement dated August 31, 2020. Are there any questions that you want to ask her while she's here on the, I know that you have all read the report. I always take my copy home and put underneath a pillow, and I go the osmosis method. So when I get up the next day, I've got it all memorized.
Hey, when Jamie does it, I don't have to read it.
Okay.
I got that much faith in her.
Yeah, oh yeah, she does a good job. We appreciate that. Okay, if there be no questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the August 31, 2020 financial statement as presented, with the stipulation it's approved as presented, and it's be put on file for audit.
So moved.
Second.
Got that, Matt?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any question on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side, motion carried. Okay, is there any other new business that needs to come before council tonight?
Have the second reading of the ordinance.
Oh,
I have second
I'm sorry,
reading of
yeah,
the ordinance.
Yeah, Tom has the second reading of the load limit ordinance.
Okay, you have for second reading tonight and adoption, an ordinance amending chapter 74 entitled Traffic Schedules and adopting a new section 74.03 entitled Load Limits for Commercial and Heavy Vehicles of the Bethlehem Code of 1976 and/or the Code of Ordinances of the Village of Bethlehem, West Virginia. Each of you was given a copy of this prior to the meeting. If you turn to page 2 of the ordinance, I should state forgot earlier to say that I met with Councilman Henry at length with regard to this ordinance, a draft I had that we went over last time, what needed to be incorporated into it, what needed to be changed, and he approved. We did it together, and he approved what we did. In section B, on page 2, are the major changes. That it provides it should be unlawful for any person, including but not limited to the owner, lessee, borrower, or operator, to operate or permit to be operated any motor vehicle or combination of vehicles which, with its load, weighs in excess of a gross volume weight, hereinafter in this ordinance GVW, over 20 tons or 40,000 pounds, on or over any streets, roadways, lanes, alleys, or highways of the municipality, except to those local streets designated as a truck route and marked as such by appropriate traffic signs, and except when such vehicle operation is necessary to load or unload property, or to perform any other legitimate business other than passage through the municipality. Operators of vehicles so deviating from a state route or designed truck route within the municipality shall confine such deviation to that required in order to accomplish the purpose of the departure. State routes pursuant to this code of ordinances are Chapel Road, East-West Bethlehem Boulevard, which is also known as 29th Street Boulevard, and Ridgecrest Road. A lot of research and a lot of review went into changing this to something that we can legitimately adopt and legitimately enforce, and because we don't have the equipment to be measuring load weights, but Councilman Henry discussed with you last time that we can work in cooperation with that division of the state when we have such a problem to weigh a vehicle. We came to the opinion that the 20 tons or 40,000 pounds was a fair and equitable load weight for the village of Bethlehem. Okay, now if you go over to page 3, the next major change is in the second paragraph that provides, it provides prior to that the mayor or his designee can authorize a permit for an overweight vehicle. And this means for each such permit, the village of Bethlehem through the mayor or his or her designee shall charge $50. That was $10 back when we adopted this comprehensive ordinance back in 2000. And it goes on to provide, and for each hour of time or any part thereof spent by a village of Bethlehem police officer in supervising the movement of such vehicle, the applicant shall pay the sum of $30 per hour to the village of Bethlehem. And that was 15 back in 2000. You go on to the next paragraph. Signs shall be posted indicating, quote, no through trucks, gross weight 20 tons, parentheses 40,000 pounds, or words of similar input to apprise drivers of the limitations imposed by this section, and no driver shall disobey the instructions indicated on any such sign. Violation of any limitation, terms, or conditions of the permit granted by the mayor or his designee shall cause for immediate revocation or suspension of such permit and denial of request for any future permit. Such violation shall subject the violator to the penalty in section 74.03. So we will need to order post signs at those entrances to the village of Bethlehem that conform with exactly what this ordinance says.
Yeah, it's similar, I think, a few years back for business license, we put like Bethlehem Boulevard East down coming up from Elm Grove. There's a sign there. I think there's one coming up 29th Street too. And I'm not sure if there's anything coming off the interstate, but I know
There should be.
put the signs out for that purpose.
There should be, anywhere where it's coming into the village.
Well,
Hey, the only question I have is there gonna be like a grace period to notify these people, or is it just gonna boom, go into effect and,
We're gonna adopt the ordinance,
I mean, there's no pre-warning or nothing like
The
that?
sign goes up, that's it.
Okay.
We don't send out pre-notices to anybody unless you wanna,
I mean, I
you
I
wanna
don't
write
know.
something in the paper.
With all the tractor trailers coming through here, and I'm gonna tell you about an incident that happened last week.
Hold on, let me finish this first.
Okay.
Next, we go over to the final page.
Got page 5? Okay.
Page 7, the final part of the ordinance, violations of the ordinance and penalties. That's 74.03.07. It now provides that it's a misdemeanor for any person to violate any of the provisions of the ordinance, as it did prior. And it provides now a more severe penalty. Every person convicted of a misdemeanor for violation of any other provisions of this ordinance shall for the first conviction thereof be punished by a fine of $100 or imprisonment of not more than 10 days, or both such fine and imprisonment. For a second such conviction, such person shall be punished by a fine of $200 or by imprisonment for not more than 20 days, or both such fine and imprisonment. And upon a third and subsequent conviction, any person shall be fined $500 or imprisonment not more than 30 days, or both such fine and imprisonment. The prior fines in this ordinance, again, were back in 2000, and they were 100. I think they were the same, 100 and 200, and they were not up to including, but now they're established. And the office here can simply start a log, and if we have somebody who's doing business and they're fined once, all you got to do is look at the load limits, and they see that XYZ has violated this before, then we know we're going to get a higher fine. So, anybody have any questions with regard to the ordinance? I'll try to address them. If not, then we need a motion to approve this ordinance upon second reading and to adopt this ordinance upon second reading.
I make a motion we accept the ordinance as written.
Is there a second? Did you get that, Matt, or was there a second?
Steve.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I'll be first.
Thanks. Okay. Is there any question on the motion now that the DC has described different parts of it where their major changes were made? If there be no question on the motion, I would call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Mayor, so I'd ask that you either assign the responsibility to your roads and streets, or it's an administrative matter, order the signs as they're set forth in here, and let's get them ordered and posted.
And if I may.
You might order an extra one in case somebody hits one.
That 40,000 pounds, when we discussed it, TC and I, it's about as a large garbage truck. One of the bigger ones for either company that comes through here. So anything bigger than a garbage truck, not the short ones or the little ones, the bigger ones, would be in violation. That's how we come up with the 40,000.
When you write a ticket in Bethlehem, does that come through our court or does that go through the magistrate court?
If we got an ordinance, we can write
Okay,
that now.
okay.
Well, if
Well,
not before, yes, you had to go to the magistrate court.
Yeah, okay.
So them semis that get stuck on Highland and Hubbard or on these side streets because they missed a 470 ramp, they're in violation.
And
They're
your
getting a
police,
ticket right now.
He'll weigh him, the police will write the ticket, so it'll still be a Bethlehem ticket.
Yeah, well, that's what I was concerned
police
about.
officers need to know to start enforcing that once you get these signs up. So the
Right.
quicker the better for the village.
You know, one of the.
I want to thank Councilman Henry for all his work on this.
Absolutely.
you've got your work cut out for you. You're a resident here and you can help us out.
I'll do my share.
Yeah, now that you got the tools. Now, I just want to mention an incident that happened last week. And one of the problems that our police are having is a language barrier. There was a tractor trailer that came up I-470 eastbound, got off at the Spruce Street Bridge, turned right, and then immediately turned left and went into the marsh property, started up the road there and got hung up. And our police went up there and saw him and addressed him, and he couldn't speak English or anything. And what the driver was trying to tell our policeman was he needed a tow truck. But he, you know, I don't discriminate against anybody, but how do they read signs if they can't speak English and everything? But why would he, and this was late in the day, why would he go up there and then go right across the construction there and go up Marsh Drive?
If you put fastest route in your GPS, it takes you right through Dan's cutoff.
Well,
Because
GPSs need up.
Right,
And
the
they
GPS needs updated, but
They must have them in Spanish too.
it's the driver's fault for not
Yep.
realizing the road he was on, but your GPS will take you that route. I don't care what language they speak, write him a ticket.
Yeah, well, he was
Yeah,
cited.
I bet he's got cash on him.
Yeah,
he can
well,
come
was
pay his
cited,
fine.
But he tore up your property
Yeah.
too.
Well, then that's a civil issue that
Also,
they can
Don,
take up.
a GPS can be in any language you want it to be in, so they
Well,
don't
that's what I
have to
thought.
see it.
But he couldn't
English
relate
and
to
understand it.
He couldn't relate to our policeman. You know what he
Well,
wanted?
they-
He wanted the tow truck.
They
And I
can
don't know
relate
how-
when you tell them money.
Yeah.
Or for me, it would be out of service.
Yeah, well, he
They
was
understand.
from Florida, see. So these guys don't know the local routes or anything, but GPSs are nice to a certain extent, but they're not accurate. And they haven't adjusted them to the construction that's going on in this area. Look at all the construction down on I-70, around the tunnels and everything. So, anyway, that's a short story. That's the end of the story.
Well, then if that's becoming more of an issue, is that something we might need to invest in, is one of those, they make those translators that you speak into for our police department? If we're pulling more and more people over that don't speak English,
Well, there's more than
well, that too,
Yeah,
but
you can ask for that,
but
yeah.
I'm saying, is that something our police department we need to get on phones or what?
Well, I think the truckers need to train them to speak English as well as Spanish or whatever their language too. That shouldn't be our problem in a way, but, you know.
No, it should, I'm not saying it's not our problem, I'm just saying, for our police officers, if they do pull someone over that doesn't speak English,
Yeah,
would it be helpful to have a translator in the office?
yeah,
or-
we don't run into that many of them. We run into a few of them because most of the other drivers do speak English, and when they're stopped, they're usually photographed and, you know, we got their goods on them. But this was just an isolated case, but why, I couldn't understand. He went across the road and everything, and it's dark there because the lights are out, and I've been trying to get the state to start energizing some of our lights. And I don't know if I've told you before, but what I get from them, they have one bucket truck that services the whole state of West Virginia, and I find that hard to believe. Now I find out that they're out of Charleston and everything, and they don't travel overnight anymore. They've got 2 weeks worth of work up here in this area. All the street signs or overhead signs that are out, all the lights that are out along there. In previous years, I've noticed they come up here, and a week later, half the lights go out again after they leave. They've got light standards on Interstate 70, 470 westbound going down there. About 4 years ago, some tractor traders took out about 5 light standards. And I know the state's possibly, and I would swear that they've collected the insurance from that trucker company, but they haven't replaced the poles. And you ask them, oh, we're thinking about this, we're thinking about that design. We need to get the stuff done. You go up Spruce Street at nighttime and it's dark. There's about one light on at the triangle, and then there's one of our AEP lights on by the school there. And there's a lot of, with all the construction going on, I think they'd be worried about safety. Anyway, amen. That's enough on it. Is there any other new business to come before council tonight? Got everybody taken care of? Okay, if be no more new business, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.